Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. It's the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis. If you're out and about trying to figure out what to get for dinner tonight, well, just come right on by Rudy's Barbecue. They can fix you up, I promise you. And then you can sit here and talk soccer, but not only with Coach G, but we're going to have a couple of players. Taylor Pounds will be here. Grace Ivey is already here. She's eating some of that great Rudy's Barbecue. Have an opportunity to visit with them. Ask questions of the players. We got question cards you can fill out. And we've got two great wins to talk about on top of that. The Aggies had a good weekend, defeating Grambling 8-0 on Thursday, and then traveled down to Houston to take on the Rice Owls and shut them out as well by the score of 4-0. So, G, you got to be pretty happy with the weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was. We had a really good week, and teams. Like I said, the team has been playing well. And it was nice for them to put those goals away. Getting 12 goals on the week was, like we said, just what the doctor ordered. It was really fun to watch. It was great to see the energy that the team played with, and some really attractive play with some exclamation points to finish off those goals.
Well, it was, and I was just doing some ciphering on the back of an envelope here last week and looking at box scores. Not making excuses, but it demonstrates in soccer how fine the difference is between winning and not winning, in the sense that we're basically about, if you look at the goals when they were scored, we're about 15 minutes from being undefeated.
Right.
I mean, it's
cumulative over a lot of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, over 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, that's when the goals came late in the game. But I really liked. You've got to feel good about Kate Colvin getting back on the field for the first time this season. She adds a lot to the Aggie offense.
She really does. And Kate Colvin, who's a senior and had not played in the first few weeks of the season, and she was able to get on the field for the first time last Thursday, and in her debut game gets a goal against Grambling, and then she gets on the field again Sunday night and scores again. So 2 games, 2 goals for her. And she really is a big impact. Micaiah McDonald has been one of the most exciting players in the country this year in what she's been able to do. It's really neat to see how she's matured and just continues to get better and better and better every week. But when she steps out, now Kate steps right in there, and she's a real handful as well. So whoever is trying to deal with us on that side of the field is just like, there's no rest for the weary as far as what happens over there. And Kate immediately stepped in and scored. And you talked about, giving up goals at inopportune times. And it's one of the things that we talked about in the game, in our first game when we played against number 2, Florida State. We gave up a goal with 4 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go left in the match, and that was the difference in the game. And same thing in the last 3 minutes against TCU in a game that we should have won. And that can be a bit of a backbreaker. And those have been focuses that we've had. And I was really pleased that in this particular week, we score in the first 5 minutes of both matches, scored in the 3rd minute of the game on Thursday, as well as the 3rd minute in the game on Sunday, and then also in the last 3 minutes of the first half against Rice. So, and those are crushing moments for your opponent, and it's something that it picks up your team when you can score there early, and it picks them up, and it relaxes them just a little bit, and it just makes it that much more. I think it makes it that much easier on the crowd as well, because
it does.
It takes the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Against Grambling on Thursday night, 2 minutes and 52 seconds into the game, Georgia Leb scored. Carissa Beckman and Mia Pante both had assists on that goal. And then right again in terms of 2 minutes and 8 seconds into the match down at Rice, Micaiah McDonald got the goal there on a miscue from their goalkeeper. She tried to clear the ball, hit it into the back of.
Well, the miscue was because of the pressure.
That's exactly right.
That was applied by Micaiah because of Micaiah's pace. A through ball that was put in, I think, by Margaret Matula, And, all of a sudden you see this, speeding bullet that is Micaiah McDonald coming on. Goalkeeper's like, I got to get out there and try to clean that thing up, and ends up hitting her own player in the back with the ball. And next thing you know, Micaiah sees an open goal from about 25 yards, and thank you very much. She just puts it into the open goal.
That's right. And one of the hard things to do is to hit an open goal when you've got all day long.
It's like hitting a 6-foot putt.
That's
that
right.
You know you can make.
Yeah, and I know how those usually turn out for me. So yeah, that's a pretty hard thing to do. But the Aggies, of course, if you go back to against Grambling, the Aggies took 34 shots. Grambling had 5, and then against Rice, again, Texas A&M with 23 shots, 11 on frame, and Rice with just 7 shots, 3 of which were on frame. So it's really Texas A&M maintained possession against both of these teams, and I mentioned to you just a while ago, particularly down at Rice. The Aggies maintained some possession and moved the ball around so well during the course of that game. I mean, yeah, we had some unforced turnovers. Everybody does. But, I mean, generally speaking, the way the Aggies were able to move the ball around and open Rice up was really, really nice.
Well, and the field at Rice is a field that's much smaller than our field, and so they were trying to pressure us and put us into some pressure pockets on their field, and in some cases we were playing right into their hands, and still were able to move the ball quick enough that we were able to get out of those pressurized situations. And again, it's nice that our players are that skillful and that quick that they could get out of those tight spaces, but at the same time, there were a few, especially in the second half, where the coaches were sitting on the sideline going, "Wow, okay,
this is what we want. This is what we want to do."
Wow, that was really, really good. And there was one instance. It was like, we've got to score. As we had put together probably, I want to say that we had probably put together at least 15 passes.
Right.
And we had gone from one side of the field to the other side of the field, and we were now coming back around. I was like, we've got to score on this. If we score on this, it's the perfect sequence. And it was like bang, 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 and then the goalkeeper made a really good save on it. And I was like, son of a gun, that would have been the perfect highlight reel right there. But it was really set up well by the players. A lot of patience, and a lot of times with a team that's made up of a lot of teenagers, patience in the way that you play doesn't mean that you play slow. It doesn't mean that you hold the ball and you don't move the ball quickly. It just means that you don't force play, and that you still can play the ball quickly, and you still make quick guided decisions, but you don't go slow. It's just you are making good decisions, and you're not forcing errors in the way that you play, and you play within yourself. And it's like, ping, 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 and you're forcing that other team to chase, and it just opens up those more pockets of play, and you can get from tight spaces to bigger spaces and moving around. It just makes the game really, really attractive to watch.
And that's what was so fun to watch from where we were watching up in the press box, looking down on it. You could see, I mean, they were all passes with a purpose, in the sense that they were stretching Rice out, making them chase, moving the ball from one side of the field, and then that creates an opening even on a small field, and then you capitalize on it.
Right.
And it was nice to watch. It really, really was. And so that was Aggie soccer.
But
right
again,
there.
it's gotten to where we've gotten progressively better and better and better. Again, it's part of the issue of we've played good teams. We've played talented teams that are well coached. That if you make a mistake, you pay for it. And Washington State was a good example of that. That we dominated the possession, we dominated the chances. We made a mistake here, boom, we get punished for it. We make a mistake there, boom, we get punished for it. The referee makes a mistake, he punishes us for it. We miss a chance, and we lose 3-2. And and same thing with Florida State. They score, they win. We make a mistake on the end line, and TCU gets their goal, and we miss umpteen chances, and we lose. And those were hard lessons for us to learn. And now what we have learned. And again, the training environment that we have, our players are playing against really good players. Our team every single day, and you can see it coming together. It's fun to see. But we're gonna. Now it turns.
Yes.
Now it's the SEC. Now we come in and we have an undefeated team coming in Kentucky on Friday night, a team that is really hot. They have the highest winning percentage in the SEC coming to our place, and a team that's going to be coming in with a lot of confidence, coming in with a swagger to the way that they're playing, and it'll be, it's going to be a really, really good test for us.
So I want to remind everybody, we'll talk more about Kentucky a little bit later on. And some of their players and what to look for on Friday. But I want to tell you that it's at 7 o'clock Friday night, 7 o'clock. If you can't make it out, and I certainly hope you can for this first SEC contest, but if you can't, it'll be on the SEC network. Jeff Gibbon and I will have the call there. And then Casey Atnip and David Nuno will have the call on radio on 97.3 FM and on 1150 The Zone. It'll be a 12th Man mobile app. You can get it there if you're not right here in the Brazos Valley or the radioaggieland.com app as well. So that's at 7 o'clock on Friday. And by the way, there's some great promotions. Get this, $5 beer night. Okay.
What? There you go. It's cheap date night, and
absolutely,
the parking lot will be full because it's Aggie football weekend.
Yes. So $5 beer night, and then you've got you can show your ticket to the UL Monroe
football game.
To the football game at the Ellis Field ticket window and get in free. Okay, and if you purchase a ticket, you got volleyball and soccer. If you volleyball starts at noon on Friday. If you go to the volleyball game, that ticket is also going to get you into the soccer match. So
don't rip up your ticket.
Don't rip up your ticket. And you got $5 beer. I mean, that's all night long. So that's not a bad deal. Again, that's on Friday night at 7 o'clock at Ellis Field. The Aggies get the SEC schedule underway, and it's going to be a good one. Again, we'll talk about Kentucky a little bit later. But we're going to take a quick break, and our favorite part of the show is coming up here in just a minute, and that is where we get an opportunity to visit with a couple of players. Taylor Pounds, who, if you watched the game on Saturday, if you happen to be there, she was just all over the field. I mean, just had a brilliant game for Texas A&M. And Grace Ivey, who is a young, dynamic player out of Florida, you're going to see great things for her, from her over the course of the next 3 or so years. So Taylor Pounds and Grace Ivey will join us right up here. In the meantime, you are listening to Texas A&M Soccer, the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G, and we'll be right back right after this. At Rudy's, and traditionally, we get the new kids on the block, so to speak, to read the reader. But then Taylor Pounds, who is here with Grace Ivey, Taylor is a senior, and she admitted that she had never read the Rudy's commercial, and so now she has to do it because we got plenty of time to get Grace to do it. And so, Taylor, just again, so you know, I mean, your sister's done this, okay? Haley did this, and nobody in the history of doing this has messed it up.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
I'm scared.
So please don't be the first, okay? All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, go.
Soccer and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com.
There you go. Very, very good.
The streak continues.
The streak continues. Somebody is going to mess it up one of these days. It could be you, Grace.
It might be me.
You never know. I mean, you never know. So, all right. Again, to my immediate left is Grace Ivey, forward/midfielder. To her left, Taylor Pounds. Taylor, of course, you've been watching for this is her fourth year at Texas A&M, and she has just been a mainstay in the Aggie lineup at the holding mid/midfield position. Taylor, I was looking at the career stats. You have started every game your freshman year, every game your sophomore year, and then last year every game up until the time you got injured.
I know.
I mean, which I think was maybe the 13th game into the season. I can't remember that for sure. But at any rate, and now you started every game this year. I mean, the point is that you have been a force ever since you walked on campus. I mean, and I thought Sunday night, you were, as I mentioned when I was bragging on you earlier, you were just really you were all over the field.
Thank you.
I mean, you really were. Were you just really feeling it Sunday night?
Well, actually, Rice was the team that we played when I broke my foot in the fall last spring. So I was like, okay, I got to bring it.
Well, you did.
You
really, really did. You know, the one thing we have to do though, your first 2 seasons here, I mean, you had goals. I mean, put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And then you didn't last year.
Yeah.
We got to get you some goals this year on some set pieces.
I know.
In front of the net, being physical in there like you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something you guys have been working on lately?
A lot. I feel like after practice, we always practice our corner kicks or set pieces. We're just trying to get people on the end of them and just get in there to battle and finish them. Yeah,
that's something that Texas A&M has always done well, and something that we've got people who can do that, and this is one of the best on the team right now in terms of fighting for and winning those balls.
Yeah, Taylor scored a really important one for us in the Sweet 16 a few years ago against Oklahoma State, and to put us into penalty kicks.
Absolutely,
which we ended up winning in penalty kicks.
Absolutely, that was in the COVID season, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember sitting down. We were broadcasting that game. This is when we couldn't travel. Broadcasters couldn't travel, and we were broadcasting that game from the studio here on campus, watching it on television. I got so excited I almost literally fell out of my chair. I mean, I almost went over backwards, and there's no telling what would have come out of my mouth had that occurred. So fortunately, it didn't. Grace Ivey, 2 assists in your young career. Tell me, what first time you got called on they went to the bench and said, all right, Grace, you're going in. Was the pulse rate up a little bit?
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Was it really?
It just felt kind of like a dream come true. I mean, I've wanted to play college soccer ever since I knew it was even a thing. So it was just kind of a surreal moment for me, just being able to be on the field, and it was just so exciting, and pulse was definitely going.
So you're from Jacksonville, Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, you got to stop calling me yes, sir. Okay,
Sorry.
Just David. That's good enough. No, but so how did you get over to Texas A&M?
So a lot of different things went into it, but it was really, out of all my visits, this was the place where I knew that I needed to be. It just stood out to me. I came here and I'd never seen anything like the culture here. It's really something special. And just all the teammates that I met, they were all so welcoming. And the teammates that I was taking my visit with, my class, I really connected with those people, and I thought that it would just be a great fit for me. So I'm here.
So just so you know, she was the 2-time Gatorade Florida High School Player of the Year in 2022 and 2023. So she got some potential. Okay, I mean, and really has a lot of speed and really very, very dynamic on the ball. What is it? So you guys sometimes, I would think you two end up going against each other in practice, right? I mean, you being in the midfield. So what kind of game has Grace got?
I would say she is very dynamic. I gotta keep up with her, just marking her. She's like moving around like this all the time. I'm like, get back here.
Well, I can't get past this one. So.
I was gonna ask you, Grace, about having to play against Taylor.
Oh goodness. Well, definitely it's tough, but I love it. I love getting, I'm just able to be pushed by leaders like this on the team, and it's just so cool.
So do you get, does Taylor get a little physical with you sometimes, Grace?
She's always physical. She wins the ball 99.9% of the time.
Yeah. So just, of course, you remember Haley Pounds, obviously, played here at Texas A&M, and now, of course, Taylor here. But you've got a little brother here now at Texas A&M playing golf, right?
Yeah, he's a freshman on the golf team, so kind of crazy, like seeing him around campus or just where we eat, like all the athletes come together. So I'm like, oh, it's weird, like being in school with you again. Like, what are you doing here?
So that's Aaron Pounds, outstanding golfer in the state of Texas, and chose, fortunately, to come to Texas A&M. So we're very proud about that. But so, did you guys have to, Taylor? Did you have to kind of convince him to come to Texas A&M? Or is that what he already?
Oh no, I think he always knew he wanted to come here. So there wasn't a lot of convincing that had to be done.
Yeah. So, G, can you talk a little bit about these two players? First of all, I mean, with Grace, what attracted you to her game, and then, of course, about the contributions that Taylor's made?
Well, with Grace, it was her ability to do a lot of different things and to play a lot of different roles. I mean, with her team, and she played with the Florida Elite, which is a club out of northern Florida, and her ability to play both as an attacking midfielder, but also sometimes as a holding midfielder, to be able to go and get the ball from the defense and bring the ball out. I mean, she was always one of the most dynamic players on the field. And then I also remember seeing some of her stuff online. She would post some like set pieces and things online. And I remember showing once, I think it was a YouTube clip once, to my sons about some balls that she was like banging in. And I was like going, so check this out, guys. And like my son going, oh my God, who's that? I was like, she's 2 years younger than you are, or 3 years younger than you are. And he's like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, we're trying to get her if we possibly can. Since we're allowed to recruit her, we're going after her. He's like, oh my God, type of thing. So I was like, yeah, this is someone who's on our radar already if we can. So she's been someone that we knew for a long time that we really, she was like a dream player for us. And so when the opportunity came for us to be able to chase her, we always wanted to try to get her. And then, she stayed and played her high school season last year, led her team to another state championship in Florida. So for her to finally be here is really, really neat for us. We're really excited to have her. And wearing the 10 jersey is kind of indicative of the way we feel about her.
And Taylor, of course, I mean, what can you say about Taylor Pounds? I mean, she is being the epitome of a steady player for Texas A&M.
Well, and Taylor plays like three positions for us because of her range and everything. Sometimes we're almost like, kind of holding her back, like, okay, just play these two roles today instead of these three roles today. And on Sunday was pretty indicative of that. I mean, she was the player of the game. Right. And the reason for that is because every time you looked up, she was on the ball, or she was winning the ball again, or she was setting somebody else up. And I didn't look at her stats specifically on her completion percentages, but I would say her completion percentages were probably in the 80 percentile range.
I think you're probably right.
As far as the ability for her to not just get the ball back for us, but then to restart possessions for us and keep possessions and move the ball and because of that, to move the other team's players because of her ability to spray the ball around. So really, really good. So, but like you're saying, now to score goals again would be, that's a good idea. I think it's a really good idea. So,
all right, work on that, would you?
I will.
Okay, all right. So, Taylor, is there any way we can convince you to stay around a fifth year?
I think so. I mean, I'm doing a master's program here, so I'll be here anyways. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's what the heck. Yeah, I did not realize that. Well, that is good news.
Yeah.
That is good news. And Grace, you've got, of course, just got here on campus. What's been the biggest adjustment for you? I mean, in terms of, I don't mean just, soccer, but is it academics that's been a big adjustment for you? What's been the biggest change from Grace Ivey last September to Grace Ivey this September?
I think the biggest change for me was really just the people that I'm around. Because I'm from Florida, so I know hardly anybody in Texas in general. So I do have some family here in Houston, and my family's a big thing for me. So I just really, really miss my family sometimes. But because they're amazing, and they were a big part in helping me make this decision. But I just think it's just the people are completely different, but I love all the teammates that I'm around constantly. So it hasn't been that hard to get adjusted because everyone's so great.
Well, we are looking forward to your to the years to come here at Texas A&M and what you're going to do on the pitch. You're going to grad school
Yes.
Taylor. And what's been your major? What are you getting your degree in?
It's accounting, but I'm doing my master's in entrepreneurship.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're you down the road, you looking at a CPA type thing, or you want to do something else?
Yeah, I think in my last semester of my 5th year, I'm mostly like studying for my CPA exam.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's the goal.
Man, I can't even imagine trying to do that. Oh boy, that'd be one of those things that I could start studying for now, and by the time I was 150, I'd still, still not be able to do it. And what about you, Grace? You're early on, and you may change your mind 3 times, but where are you right now academically?
Right now, I'm planning on majoring in kinesiology.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about going into something with physical therapy, but
All right.
not too sure yet. So we'll see.
Well, whatever it is, I'd bet money that you're going to be a success at it. That's for sure. And thank you both to the way you represent Texas A&M, both on the pitch and off. We are very, very proud to have you as Aggies. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with more of the Aggie Soccer Hour right after this. All righty, we are back here at Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. It's the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis. Glad you joined us tonight, whether you're here at Rudy's or listening somewhere, however you might be listening, which could be on 97.3 FM on your 12th Man mobile app or your Radio Aggieland app. If you happen to be somewhere else in the world other than here, and if you are, I'm sorry for you. This is the best place to be. But, the Aggies have 2 big games this week in terms of Kentucky, particularly on Friday night. First SEC game of the season, and then that's again Friday night at 7 p.m. at Ellis Field, and then Sunday at 6 p.m. against Texas Southern. But there is also something else really important to Texas A&M soccer going on this weekend on Friday night as well, as a matter of fact, concurrent with the soccer game, unfortunately, and that you're having another player inducted into the Texas A&M Athletic Hall of Fame.
Pretty cool, huh?
It is cool.
It is, and it's unfortunate that this will only be our 6th player inducted into the A&M Athletic Hall of Fame, which is kind of remarkable. We've won 18 championships, and only 6 of our players have gone into the Hall of Fame. Which
18 championships, by the way, in 31 years.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Which is a lot. And it's more than a lot, but it's and a lot of great teams filled with a lot of All-Americans. I think we've had 33 All-Americans, but this will be our 6th player to go in, and you talk about just someone who is just a remarkable representative, and has always been a remarkable representative of Texas A&M, is Shea Groom. And Shea, this is the first year that Shea was eligible to go in, and she goes in on the first ballot, as they say. Shea was. Do you have all of Shea's accolades?
I do. This is for those of you here. This is
we might run out of time reading them all.
Accolades. I'm not going to read them all.
I'll tell you what is really remarkable. First team All-American, first team academic All-American.
Yes.
You can just kind of end it right there.
Right.
Is that what she was? And of course, she was one of our leading scorers all time. She's one of our, first team All-Conference, first team this, first team that. But the fact that she was a first team All-American and a first team academic All-American just shows the kind of focus that she had on the field and off the field. And she was another one of our number 6s, so it's kind of cool that she's the 6th player going in as a Hall of Famer. So she's going to be at the Burgess Banquet on at the same time that we're playing. She will be inducted over at the Hall of Champions. I think it's at the Hall of Champions.
I think you're right.
It's funny because I've never been able to go to one of those banquets when our girls have been inducted, because they always do it at the same time that a soccer game is going on, because it's around football. But and then she will be honored at halftime of the football game on Saturday when football plays ULM. So we'll all be out there. So I'm excited to see her. Maybe we can get her to come back down on Tuesday. Maybe we can get her to
Absolutely.
come
I think
be on the show.
She'd make a great guest. I remember back during the COVID days when I was doing interviews by Zoom or whatever it was. Did an interview with her, and she and Bullet, her dog, and
she might. I don't know that they'll let Bullet here into Rudy's. Bullet would love to come here.
He
into
would
Rudy's.
love to come here. I can tell you that. That's for sure. Shay, 40 goals, 25 assists during her Texas A&M career. Clutch player that she was. 4 penalty kicks attempts, 4 penalty kicks made. I remember that. And I will tell one Shay Groom story. This was a weekend that we played Duke on a Friday and North Carolina on a Sunday. And Duke, we came out and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And Duke just about killed us.
They handed it to us. Yeah,
they did. And it was the longest second half I've ever broadcast. It was just bad. But at any rate, and in return, 2 days later, we have to play the number 1 team in the country, North Carolina. Undefeated, and the number 1 team in the country. And ended up beating them.
Came from behind. We were 2 goals down.
2 goals down, and the winning goal, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been the goal that tied it now that I'm –
No, it won it.
Anyway, Shay took the ball just over the halfway line, and I mean just ran straight at their back line. About 100 miles an hour, didn't know which way to go, and cut one direction and cut back the other direction and just buried the shot. And speaking of getting buried, I think she almost got buried by her teammates on the field. And beat the number 1 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels there in North Carolina, which doesn't happen very often, I can tell you. But that's one of the plays that no matter how long I am privileged enough to be able to do this, that's one that I will never forget.
So she is still on. She's on the Houston Dash roster. She's coming back. She's coming back from ACL surgery. She's not on the active roster at this moment, but she is actively coming back from anterior cruciate surgery. Easy for me to say. And we'll be back in the NWSL next season. So obviously, congratulations to just a wonderful young woman and a great representative of this program and a great representative of her family back in the Kansas City area.
And just so if your curiosity's up, G mentioned 6 players, Shay being the 6th soccer player in the Athletic Hall of Fame. The others are Melanie Wilson, Bryn Blaylock, KJ Spizak, Katie Joe, Ashley Pistorius, Nikki Thrasher, and now Shay Groom.
That's a pretty good group.
You could win some soccer games with that group, don't you think?
Yep.
I believe you could. All right. SEC action starts out, but let's look at last week real quick. Some interesting results. LSU and Pepperdine tied at 2. I thought was interesting. Clemson beat Arkansas, 2 ranked teams there, 1-0. That was in Clemson, South Carolina.
Yep. Auburn with a respectable tie on the road up against Auburn, which spoke well for them. North Carolina, South Carolina. North Carolina with a late was able to get the win. South Carolina got a late goal, couldn't quite come back, but then Alabama did get a draw against North Carolina, 1-1. Georgia with a 1-1 draw against Clemson number 9 in the country. Florida only lost to Florida State 1-0. A team that we're going to play on Friday, they just kind of keep rolling right along. Last week they knocked off Illinois 1-0, and then this past on Sunday, Kentucky knocked off Iowa State 3-0. So they, like I said, they continue to be undefeated. Tennessee knocked off Florida Atlantic 2-0. Other games that were that kind of continue to do really, really well. Tennessee keeps winning. I think that one of the other teams that we're going to see here in College Station is South Carolina. South Carolina is one of those teams that just kind of they're really highly ranked. Arkansas is highly ranked. We've got a lot of teams in the SEC. SEC has got one of the highest winning percentages of any of the conferences in the country. Across the board, you're going to see teams that every game that we're going to play pretty much from here on out, we're going to play a team with a really, really high winning percentage.
Yeah.
So every game that we win from here on out in the SEC is going to help us out.
Look, well, you mentioned Kentucky 6-0-1 on the season. Vanderbilt 5-0-3. South Carolina, who will be coming in here to Ellison Field, 6-1-1 on the season. Georgia, who's now ranked 25th in the country, 3-1-2. Alabama 5-0-3. Auburn, you mentioned 4-2-2. Mississippi State 5-1-2 on the season. Arkansas, who's played a really tough schedule, they're 3-2-1, but they are ranked number 11 in the country. Ole Miss 4-2-1, so a lot of SEC teams who have had a lot of success during and playing good schedules and having a lot of success during the non-conference part of the schedule. So it's going to be tough, but this is the fun part of the year coming up. And real quick before we go to break, just some of the games. You got Georgia, number 25 in the country, at Alabama on Thursday night. That's the only Thursday night game. Most of the games are on Friday night this week. But you've got Missouri at Florida, Vanderbilt at number 9, South Carolina, Arkansas at Tennessee. That could be a tough game for Arkansas. Auburn and Mississippi State, Kentucky here, of course, at A&M, and then LSU at Ole Miss. That's always kind of a grudge battle. So anyway, it'll be kind of interesting to see what develops in this first weekend of SEC play because there are some good teams across the board in the SEC. All right, we're going to come back and we will talk about the teams that Texas A&M is going to face this coming weekend in terms of Kentucky and Texas Southern, and we'll do that right after this. You're listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. Head coach G Guerrieri is here. The Aggies with another big weekend of soccer get the SEC schedule underway on Friday against Kentucky. I want to remind you that plenty of ways to get in at little or no charge whatsoever for Aggie Soccer on Friday night. Game time is at 7 o'clock on Friday night. You can show your football ticket for the next day's game against ULM. Show that at Ellis Field. You can get in free. Or it's basically a 2-for-1. You can buy a ticket to the volleyball match at noon, or if you go to the volleyball match at noon, you can use your volleyball ticket to get into the soccer match that evening at 7 o'clock. So volleyball plays at noon. The Aggies on the soccer pitch at 7 o'clock on Friday night. And it's $5 beer night. $5 Lone Star Light is going to be available for purchase at the Ellis Field concession stand. And then on Sunday against Texas Southern, that game is at 6 o'clock. The Socktoberfest gets underway. You can enjoy special beer and brat offerings at Ellis Field concession stands. And the first 100 fans to check into the match on 12th Man Rewards are going to receive an A&M pint glass. Okay, so check into the match with your A&M 12th Man Rewards app, and you're going to get a A&M pint glass. Also, you can get in on Sunday. As usual on Sunday, purchase one full-price adult ticket and bring up to 4 kids in free. And then we'll have the kids zone there in the northwest corner of Ellis Field, inflatables, face painting, balloons, animals, and all that good stuff. So great weekend of soccer coming up here in College Station. 7 o'clock on Friday night, 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. Kentucky, the Aggies get the SEC season underway. What can you tell us about Kentucky, G? We know they're 6-0-1. This is a good soccer team. What can you tell us about them?
Well, this is a team that is, they've been rebuilt. Is what's happened. They've gone through a lot of transition over the last really about 5 or 6 years. They've gone through a few coaches, and now Troy Fabiano is in his second year there as their head coach. Troy is he's been a success everywhere he's been. He's a Wisconsin guy. Grew up in Parkside. Went to school at UW Parkside, was the coach there, was tremendously successful at that program, then moved over to UW Milwaukee. All he did at Milwaukee was win championships, and Milwaukee was a perennial powerhouse in the Horizon Conference. I think at one point they went like 78-7 and won just championship after, and every year they were a fixture in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and advancing in the tournament as well.
Right.
Not just
they were a team that you didn't want to end up seeing in the first round or second round of the NCAA tournament. And his team was, and this is the guy that put him there. And so when the opportunity opened up, Kentucky went and found this guy, and that's who they brought in. And so Troy is there. He's kind of done the Dion, and he has brought in a lot of transfers into this program. So this past weekend, when they went to Ames and beat Iowa State at Iowa State, he had 6 of his 11 players in the starting lineup were transfers.
Right.
Now, some of his best players are kids who have been in the Kentucky program for a while. So, for example, Jordan Rhodes, who is one of their all-time leading scorers. I think she has more than 40 goals. We talked about Shea Groom is going to be inducted into our Hall of Fame, 40 goals in her career. Mm-hmm. Well, Jordan Rhodes has at least that many goals in her career at Kentucky, number 30 for them. She leads the attack for them. She is their premier goal scorer. She's the kind of the tip of the spear for them. And her and a girl named Ulfsdottir, Icelandic attacker, those two are their leading scorers. They've got a midfielder named Tanner Strickland. The three of them have been a really dynamic trio that have set each other up and have scored goals, especially Rhodes. Those three have done a great job in the attack. And then they've got a transfer goalkeeper from North Carolina who has given up less than a third of a goal a game and has been making some big saves. They've only given up 2 goals all season.
Yeah.
And the 2 goals that they gave up were bangers. And so they don't give up much. They've scored a lot of goals on set pieces. They score a lot of goals by finding a way to get the ball to Rhodes, and she's a legit goal scorer. You can't give her any kind of space because she can finish them off with her head. She can finish off left-footed, right-footed, and if you give her a little bit of space, she burns you.
And Jordan Rhodes is one of those players that is just somehow or another is in the right place at the right time, picking up goals around the goal, and putting them in.
Well, that's how she's been her whole career. So we
very
talk
good
about
on set pieces.
There's shooters and there's finishers.
Yeah, okay? She's a finisher.
And there's a lot of shooters out there, and a lot of times those are the ones that you don't want to be driving a car past the soccer complex when that happens. She's a finisher. She puts the ball in the back of the net. So we have got to be really good defensively against this team, and they're hard to score against. So this is a big challenge.
It is.
And again, you're playing the hottest team in the league to start out league play, and then on Sunday, like I said, it's Socktoberfest. Socktoberfest is that
right. That's it. That's what it says
event.
right here.
7 o'clock on Friday, 6 o'clock on Sunday. I know that there's a lot of kids events on the game on Sunday. This will be the Friday night game is the first SEC event of the athletic season. So, I mean, it's a outstanding event to come on out. I know there's a chance of a little bit of weather, which means it's going to be a little bit cooler. So, chance to finally put on a rain jacket and come on out and be a part of what we think is going to be a terrific event. And it should be. These are 2 teams that are really playing well right now, and these are 2 teams that are going to be, I think, are going to be a really fun game to watch, and what we think is going to be a really exciting match.
Well, I remember after the first weekend saying, "Don't give up on this team. This team is going to be good. They're going to be fun to watch all year long." And for one of the few times in my life, I think I'm right. and they're really turning into that team. And you guys have the coaching staff, Phil Stevenson and Alyssa Motts and Seth have really been working with these kids, and it's really making a difference. And you've got players who will do nothing but get better. And again, that is 7 o'clock on a Friday night. Hope I've drilled that into your head enough. And then 6 o'clock, that's against Kentucky, by the way, first SEC game. And then 6 o'clock against Texas Southern on Sunday. Should be 2 good soccer games, and you're going to want to be there at Ellis Field. That's going to about do it for us. Want to say thanks, as always, to Kevin Minshew over here, who keeps me straight, and then Austin back at the studio, at the station, rather, keeps us on the air. We wouldn't be on the air if it weren't for those two guys. This copyright broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield IMG College under broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield IMG College. Announcers are provided by Learfield IMG College and Texas A&M University. For G Guerrieri, I'm David Ellis. Thanks for listening, everybody, and gag 'em.